All right, here we go. Howdy, Yags. Cull and Good Bull, episode version edition 2 for Bonfire 2023. We are looking at second cut, including the first stack site prep of 2023. So not your typical traditional technical double cut, but it was a 2-day weekend where there was work done on Saturday preparing stack site, with the football game being an away game, but it only being the third week of school. You know, you don't want to do a double cut that early. So, something that is continued now, and I think we can safely say is a tradition and a official way of practicing from now on out, stack site prep. That was something that, didn't typically happen until right before stack. And now it's something that happens early in the season. And that's something that started during COVID, just in case crews had to quarantine and lose man hours. The decision was made to hurry up and get stack site prep done early in the year. That's carried over, and that's been a nice development that has really helped with productivity and helped squeeze in all of the work you can get in, especially when there's early season away games where in the past you just wouldn't have any work. So that's going to happen. We also need to cover the new website for the gallery. Most of you know by now. Excuse me. Most of you know by now. Thank you to Paul Tomaso for the water cup. I wish you could see it. I'll post a picture on my Instagram at some point. It's a Aggie Bonfire coffee cup, and it's my official water cup of streams. All right, so if you probably know by now, but the website was hacked, maliciously hacked. We're not talking, friended the wrong person on Facebook or whatever. The website server itself was attacked, and it was completely wiped out on July 27th. So since that time, I've been trying to fix that. While we've also got Perimeter Fires podcast, which we're going to have a quick update on. And then, that's right before cut starts. So there's a bunch of stuff to do there to go along with, helping the students however I can with just general bonfire stuff as an advisor and a member of the board of directors. So all of which to say, it's been a hard haul to get the website back up, with my priority being that as soon as possible, we want to get these pictures out of Bonfire 2023. So we're going to start with a quick preview of the website, and then we'll get into cut 2. What you're looking at right now is the website. I've got it in full screen here. But I don't know, call me a weirdo or whatever, but I try and upload the best quality images that I can, the best versions of them. They're big images. But it's important to me that everybody see all of the details, and I prefer a full screen experience with these photos, or at least the option if anybody wants that. So the whole website has been designed to really take advantage of full screen viewing. And this is one of the landing pages for a year, right? So you'll see here, there's still work being done on a local version of the website. I've got a grid down here that shows us all of the different galleries, cut 1, cut 2, cut 3 from Bonfire 2022. But that'll be a feature that I think will go out tomorrow. But we have, and this was the biggest priority, note the menu up at the top. I'm trying to keep everything as clean and uncluttered as possible. But menu up at the top, big full screen menu here. When the site is launched to everyone, you'll start to see the 2023 galleries up here. Should be sort of familiar type of layout to people who are familiar with the website from before. But as you'll see, we have the functionality back, the primary functionality that's most important to everybody. That is looking at the photos and kind of browsing through a year. And we've got that. So, here's your gallery view, of a big set. And then once you're in there, you can jump in and look at, individual photos. Something that's going to be coming is the slideshow feature that we had before. That's coming. There's not a search right now. That search was a really advanced Elasticsearch that as you type, it was searching the content of the images themselves. Show me everything with fire. Show me everything with an axe handle. Show me everything with wood and trees and all this stuff. That was also lost in the hack. So that is going to take a while to rebuild, but that's not a high priority. We find that people just like browsing the website. So this is going to be there. Before we go live, we'll have the photo details like we had before, some of the specs for people who are interested in photography and maybe trying to learn a little something. Not to say I have much to teach, but if you look at something and it looks like garbage, you'll at least know what I did wrong, because I will share that information over here. So we've got all that going. Something that needs to happen before we go live is, we've got some content that I was able to salvage the data, but like these were the Christmas cards that handed out, distributed for free to print. Those images are lost, and need to be relinked. So there's some content on the site that, still needs to need to be fleshed out a little bit, but the highest priority that is really, really important, and I'm really glad that we're here, is that we do have the ability to browse all the photos that have ever been posted. And if you would like to play with this and look at old photos from 2022 and before this launches live, the website there's a link that I'm sharing every time there's a website update. A new code is generated, and I'm sharing those special soft launch links on the Patreon. So all Patreon members are getting access to browse around the website, kick the tires, tell me what's broken, tell me what I forgot that is important. So tell me something I didn't know was important that people are expecting to see before this goes live again. So yeah, that's the website right now. Really happy with it, really proud. And one more note, Perimeter Fires is now on Spotify. So moving on up, as they say, previously recorded episodes are going to go up weekly, and I'm between Wednesday and Thursday's publishing date on those. I think I'm going to go with Wednesdays because I still plan on doing Cull and Good Bull on Thursdays. So we'll probably do new Perimeter Fires episodes releasing on Spotify every Wednesday. Working through a backlog of a queue of podcast episodes to record and have recorded. So with this new sort of relaunch, I'm pretty pleased that I'm going to be able to be on a pace for doing one Perimeter Fires a week now, as I release the old ones and have the new ones queued up to follow after. So follow, like, subscribe Perimeter Fires on Spotify now, exclusively on Spotify for a little bit, and then we'll look at doing iTunes later. And we'll also be introducing Monday Modi on the Perimeter Fires podcast. That will be not a full episode talking to somebody. That will be some interesting new development, a current story, a current issue, challenge, achievement, obstacle, failure, whatever, that provides, some helpful, if not just entertaining, look at Bonfire and the greater lessons of it. So Monday Modi will start coming out this Monday on the Perimeter Fires podcast. Perimeter Fires episodes probably every Wednesday, and Cull and Good Bull continuing to happen on Thursdays. The website, hoping that it goes live next week, and I will not release any new photos to the website until it is live for everybody. I have been very serious since I started a Patreon to help kind of support this thing. I've been very serious about not hiding content from people, because that's not the point. So the all new stuff has not been posted yet, and Cull and Good Bull, what we're doing right now, is the only place you're going to see it until the new website is live for everybody and we're out of that soft launch. But again, if you do want to play with the new website, now that it has been soft launched, jump on Patreon, become a subscriber, new links every day. And without further ado, let's get to what we're all here for. Cull and Good Bull. From the second cut, and we've, again, got a load of images this week. I think 1,700, 1,800 images from Stack Site Prep and cut on Sunday. The 9th and the 10th. And let me skip over a couple here. You might remember from last year. Maybe I said it before. Well, I'll get to it. So, here's the deal. I came out Saturday morning. Just 4 minutes ago. Thank goodness. All right, so let's jump back real quick. 4 minutes. Forgot my battery, yada, yada. By the time I get back out there again, now I've got the boy in tow and the holes are already in progress. So that's where we were. Another adventure in audio, folks. It's awesome. It's great. I can't podcast, but I can bonfire real good. So there we go. And yeah, digging holes by hand. The boy's out there and he's helpful because he's about the perfect height for what we need, the holes to be. So they would throw him down a hole and use him as a measuring stick. Brown pots messing around with yellow pots, taking their crowbars. I would really like to go back and, fortunately I've got the permanent record, don't I? I'd like to go back and see when crowbars started becoming a thing. I remember a lot of what they do with crowbars we did with our axe handles. They still do a lot with the axe handles, but now crowbars, every yellow pot's got a crowbar, and it's a good bull to take them. So here's B2 in the core, working on their corner there. B2, we talked about them last week. B2 was an outfit that was on the cusp, unfortunately. And they turned it around. They went from an outfit that was really on the cusp. Outfits turn over. It's just kind of the life cycle of the Corps of Cadets. Outfits come and go. They're cycled out. And B2 was right on the cusp of getting refreshed, and then they started building Bonfire, and that's no joke. They started building Bonfire, and they went and became what I believe is the second most outstanding outfit on the quad. Which there is an actual track for, so I'm not making that up. That's an actual legit number. And so, and look at how many B2 are out there now. They had incredible retention last year, incredible motivation, and guys that took what they were doing, contributing to their outfit at Bonfire, and brought it back to the quad, and did it just the same. Real carryover, real just contribution to the overall effort just from building Bonfire. It was really incredible. So, and here they are preparing Stack Site. You're going to see more of them and more of the Corps in its entirety tomorrow. There he is. So there's the measuring stick. And at first, I was so proud of this little bugger. I don't put him up to it. Like I said, he asked me, can I come out? I want to come out. And I almost even left him because I'm a cold, heartless, awful person. And so this was his idea. And he comes out and he's playing measuring stick. And the motivation is just so, even a 6-year-old is going to get motivated to participate, and try and keep up with the college guys and gals. So when they first started just throwing him down a hole to see if he could be a measuring stick, that quickly turned into him getting in there and getting after it. He wanted to dig and help. And I think I was concerned because this isn't fun and games, right? There's a job to be done, and everybody needs to feel that job, and at its highest level, and you need to produce, and you need to focus on your effort. And I was concerned that possibly the boy might distract from that. And so I told him, I said, hey, dude, you're going to have to work hard, man. You're not here to entertain, and they're not here to entertain you. So you be sure and help them out. And I'm not saying he did it. I'm just saying he didn't distract them. The hole he was working on finished first. So what we can say safely at a bare minimum is that he was not a distraction. But he loved it, and it's something I'm really happy about. That he gets it at such a young age without being provoked. So what I'm doing here, these aren't really there. So that beautiful sunny sky and wonderful day started to change pretty quick. Lots of storms moving in, columns of rain. And they kept going, and they took it as a bit of motivation. Now all of a sudden you got a clock on the wall telling you when you need to finish. And they did their best. They put in solid effort to try and get there. But you could see it was coming. And spoiler alert, the rain and the lightning showed up before they got the holes finished, but they just went out to the parking lot and and waited it out. There's something very interesting when that happened. I believe it's here. Yeah. Now is where they send everybody out to the parking lot. And, you know, just saying that I've seen a few things, not to say I know all the answers, but the thought crossed my mind. If everybody's out in the cars and then they saw you doing the work that they didn't finish, that'd be something. And I didn't even say that. I thought about saying it, and I was just kind of sizing up, what they were going to do. And damned if in an instant they didn't say, all right, let's get to work. And so upper leadership, junior red pots, brown pots, green pots, and then a handful of past chiefs were selected to get in there and do the work in front of everybody. And that was just, everybody's out here in their cars. And they're out there getting after it. It's just outstanding. Always forward progress. It's good to see. There is the typical every year take the shot. That's where center pole is going to go. And you'll note this year something that it took me, I think it was about at this moment that I realized that the Aggie bonfire trailer was there. And not saying that I didn't notice it, but it hit me that hasn't happened since 2021. Yeah, it was not out at this site for all of 2022, unfortunately. It was at the property adjoining where Stack had been for 13 years before. And so you just take it for granted that the ABT is always there. And so after only 1 year of not having an ABT, I didn't think much of it. But then I realized, no, wait a minute, ABT is here. And it wasn't here for a whole year and I missed it. Cool stuff in the clouds. It looked like, and the radar looked like, and everything looked like we were going to get hammered. But that it went around. It completely straddled Stack site. Almost as if it wanted to make sure the work got done. Now the holes are getting pretty deep. And we've seen a good bit, so we'll jump ahead a little. We used up a lot of time talking about the other stuff that's going on. this is where I don't know whose idea this was. I mean, as a brown pot, almost certainly. But and I'm not exactly sure even of the intricacies of this game. It seemed like it was maybe a little bit more complicated than it looked, or maybe it really was as simple and stupid as it looked. But everybody, I think, had to grab some brush and then pretend to be a bush. And the fish, I mean, this was a fish game. And then they followed a junior red pot. And anytime he turned around, if any of the bushes moved, giving away that they were in fact not a bush, then I don't know, there's some kind of consequence or something. Run to the fence or something. I don't know. And so for a little bit, he started to run since they had to follow him. So he started to run to make them have to run. And this game went on for, gosh, I think it went on for like 30 minutes. And little man jumped in on it, and I pointed out the fish were loving this game. Everybody was loving watching the fish play the game. And I did point out, I wonder if any of the fish notice that this game that's so fun is also equally fun for a 6-year-old. Ultimately, they did eventually stop. A couple of the bushes phoned it in. So he had a blast. This does remind me of when my oldest daughter, when she first came out when she was 6, and she worked with Leggett. Here they're measuring and double and triple and quadruple checking that the holes are all in the right place. So measuring from center pole. Again, a Pelt's new yellow pot for the detail oriented. Pelt now has a yellow pot, which is pretty outstanding. Where were we? Oh yeah, so my daughter, she comes out when she's 6 years old. She's working with Leggett. Speaking of Leggett, they're working. Everybody working here to carry one of the light poles. I want to recognize all of the donors and patrons and sponsors of the gallery, because it was y'all that through your donations to the gallery, I turned those donations around and bought new stack lights. So the stack lights that your donations provided are going to be going up on these poles. So thank you, patrons to Patreon. Not just helping the gallery, but you're helping Bonfire. So good bull. Anyway, got the pole there. So my daughter is coming out when she's 6, and she's hanging out with Leggett, and she does it for, it's been every year now since she was 6 years old. And I guess she was turning 9 or 10. And she's going to have a birthday. And we're going to have, we're trying to plan a birthday at the house is what we're assuming. And she says, well, I want to have a chicken birthday. I want to have Dixie chicken birthday. So I said, oh, that's outstanding, honey. And, we got an outdoor kitchen, and it's sort of, like an alley shaped outdoor kitchen and, rustic steel barn next to it. That could pass as a bottle cap alley. I'll go get some bottle caps, honey, and we'll do hamburgers on the grill back there. And again, here, everything by hand, Y sticks, pushing it up by hand, steered, directed by red pots. So she says, no, I don't want to, I don't want a Dixie Chicken birthday at our house. I want a birthday at the Dixie Chicken. Oh, okay. So if we're going to invite your friends to the Dixie Chicken, is that what we're going to do? And she said, yeah, we'll invite all my friends, and then we can buy them beer. And I'm so confused. I'm not going to buy your friends beer at the Dixie Chicken, honey. And she's, no, I'm talking about my college friends. I'm talking about the Leggett ladies. I want to take them to the Dixie Chicken for my birthday and hang out with my friends. So, looks like the boy is fast tracking for some college friends, I guess. At this point, the pole's in the ground. They're tamping. Again, everything the hard way. And part of the process includes going to get water. A pond back there. Go fill up your pots with water. Somebody accidentally caught a fish. That fish is now part of the perimeter light. It's a good way to go. So by the time it was time for me to leave, they were already getting another one up. Tamping that second one in. And then I'm out. Come back the next morning. No sooner do I stop the truck. Now we're into cut 2. No sooner did I stop the truck and open the door and think that I'm going to have time to take a couple sips of coffee, that they called for yellow pots and butt pots. And there they come down, running down that hill that we talked about. Such a great hill. So you saw 3 junior red pots the day before. The week before, calling for yellow pots and butt pots. Now you see 2. It's because, I don't know, the first time that there's this yellow pots and butt pots call is always motivating to me, because what that means is when you've got one less junior red pot up there, that means that that's your head stack that's missing, and he's at stack site, which means that there's going to be an unload. That means logs. This is going to be the first day that logs are heading to stack site. And so for anybody who's bonfire motivated, that's a big deal, because that means that logs are going to stack site, and we're getting down to, making things happen. That people can see we're getting to where we're bringing construction materials to stack. But for somebody like me, Walton loads. So that means that we're going to be loading trucks. And I did get a few shots of those today. Everybody coming from the parking areas. They tightened the woods up a little bit this week. I mean, everybody was still spread out. But they kind of re-engineered where people were, so they were spread out in a tighter circle, rather than kind of flung miles away, which I was really happy about. I really appreciated that. It's still a long hump when you're carrying an axe box, though. And Kruger's got a big one. There you see some of the core. At the beginning of the morning, I was a little, there he is, our first ace sighting of the week. I was a little worried at first with the number of core that I saw. And I was concerned that we were potentially missing a few core that we had the week before. But as I was sitting there talking to the junior red pod about, what are the core numbers like? Is there, what's going on? As we're talking, core outfits are pouring in. So granted, they could have shown up a little bit earlier. That would have been nice. But they did show up. And as you're going to see here in a minute, there was a hell of a lot of core. And I tried to do my best to get some images representing just how much core there was, and how much work they were able to do, which, to get a good idea of when you've got a group that is big, concurrent work is kind of a big tell. So, in some crews, you're going to have, I like that one. In some crews, you're going to have, especially in the beginning, a cut, you're going to have maybe they're working on 1 to 2 trees at a time. They might get up to 3, maybe 4 if they've got a bunch of deads that are there to help. But really, it's 1 to 2 trees at a time. And at one point, the Corps cadets had, on only the second week of cut, where you had, groups that were still being taught up on what to do. You had, I think, 2 or 3 outfits that hadn't been out in years that had come out. So you had a lot of folks that were, just getting into a groove or not even there yet. And still, at one point that I saw 6 wedges at one time, safely spread out, no fall paths crossing each other. Everything was, really well buttoned up. But that's, first thing in the morning on the second day of cut. That's just how many damn people they had. And quite honestly, with the number of people that they had and the number of outfits that they had and the competency and the leadership that they had, honestly, they bring this kind of heat on, cut 4, cut 5, the first real double cut weekend. They're going to be mowing it down, absolutely mowing it down. And they were safe and they were squared away and they were motivated. And by the end of the day, they were looking for more work. And they were, challenging the non-rigs around them to contribute and help them out with what they were doing. The non-rigs, they got their stuff, but when they're right next to load site. And so when Walton had a little bit of downtime in between, the Corps' momentum pulls them Walton down, and Walton's down there doing work with them. And then by the end of the day, the Corps finding work up there with Walton, and they're coming to load trucks with Walton. Rising tide floats all ships, I guess they say. Now, again, and I guess this is the first time this year that this comes up, but it comes out multiple times every year. There's one single body of students that remembers 99. And to some people, it's counterintuitive, which is unfortunate. But the fact of the matter is, it's the people who build Bonfire that remember it. And that means remembering everything it ever was, which includes 99 and especially, and most importantly, 99. So it's always heartening to see now we're into generations of Aggies that weren't born when 99 fell. I hate to break it to you, but we're into generations of Aggies now whose parents hadn't met, which is wild. And yet they, they remember. This is sort of a new phenomenon. And I was trying to chat with one of the juniors about it later in the day. Not to say I'm complaining or anything. I'm just curious. Just something is developing, and I'm wondering what it's about and where it comes from and what people are thinking. But it does happen that you cut a tree and it doesn't fall off the stump. That happens. Ideally, once you figure out and you get good at placing your wedges, this is going to happen when you fall a tree. It's going to come clean off. It's going to have momentum when it falls through. You're going to space your wedges just right that they almost meet before it falls. And they're going to come clean off the stump. So ideally, you don't get stuck on the stump. And we always had a thing where it's like, get it. You don't want it stuck on the stump. If it does get stuck on the stump, then clear the fish out a little bit, because you're going to have to do some leveraging and some axe handle work, or I guess now, like I was saying, some crowbar work to get it off that stump. It wastes time, and then it has a log up. And even if nobody goes near it, as a safety rule of thumb, you want a log down, not up, down. So, sometimes there's questions from the junior red pots. Why did your log not come off the stump or what have you? But that idea of it is preferable to have the log off of the stump. Now, sometimes it's treated like it is a matter of utmost urgency when a log doesn't come off the stump. And so I'm trying to process what exactly, what does that turn into? I don't know. No opinions yet. It's just a curious new little twist. And I think if you were to ask a lot of students, they would tell you that Lawrence Sullivan Ross treated a tree getting stuck on the stump as a matter of greatest urgency. James Earl Rudder, whatever. But in actual fact, I feel like it's something pretty recent to get so excited about a log not breaking free of the stump immediately. So this was a senior head stack. For Stack, he was a highly competent tree feller. And so he was working on a tree himself. And so to give you an idea of the scale there, the tree he's working on. These really are terrific woods. A little downswinging from the pelt topping a log they just felled. My boy had called me about 8:30 this morning. He called me out at Stack Site, got his mom's phone and called me and asked me if I was at Bonfire, and I said yes. And he said, well, can you come get me and bring me out there? And I told him, no, son, because A, I'm already out here, and B, it's only second cut, and most importantly, it's only second cut. So people are still figuring things out. You know, they've only had one cut with these fish, and you know, everybody's got to shake some cobwebs loose and stuff. And no, you'll have to come out later. It's too soon. So he says, well, I won't back wedge a tree. I said, well, son, I'm not worried about you. So I'm worried about everybody else. And he said, well, I'll teach him. So anyway, I held the line. He didn't come out. But he wanted to, and apparently everybody else wanted him to. So maybe next week. But his sisters are asking too. We're now with Schumacher. You got a couple of Schumacher dead red pots here. Having a little reunion in the woods. This is something that, and this is a fair shot of what happens with these trees. But I'm going to get a better one. I'm going to get one. You've got chips coming off of these trees. Again, we're not dealing with oak so much this year. You've got dinner plates coming off these trees. So before this season is over, I am going to get a photo of, I mean, and look, you can see them. There were some big chips that came off of here. I'm going to get a photo of one of those things in the air. So move from Schumacher to catch up with Lechner, who I only caught up at the parking lot last week. So I spent a good bit of time with Lechner this week. I do try and keep up with how much I'm spending time where. Cleaning up, looks like a hackberry, another hackberry. We talked about that last week. There darn sure a lot of hackberries. And then back in the back, behind Lechner, there were some dads working on some stuff, some old Lechner folks. And I'm trying to get between the tree, but it's hard to get the right focus when his head keeps ducking behind here. So it became sort of a spray and pray kind of situation. Pretty close. There's a bunch there. I'm going to go through those a little bit later. There has to be one in all of these. Trying to shoot between. This was, didn't get a good idea of what this tree was. It was hard. It's very hard. but it had a couple crooks, and I was trying to shoot through those. One of our greens from last year. It's a little bit darker back here. I mean, we're well in the shade. And this was you can't tell from this, but it got kind of squirrely because right out of frame here is the rest of this tree and its fork and whatnot. So they had to get the tree almost, well, you'll see it here. It was almost a completely front wedge tree, and by the end they started beavering it. Finally get it to go. But they were trying to get that. You'll see sometimes you got to get crafty. They were trying to get this tree so that they could get to the other. And this is a pretty small one. I'm not even sure they're going to be able to use it for anything. But you get this one out of the way, and then you can get this one and then this one. So it's one of the useful aspects of having dads and old crew come out, is they can go back to the back of some woods that the rest of the crew hasn't made it to yet, and they can get some of those squirrely things out of the way and, you know, do the technical work so that the rest of the crew can come out there and have good, clean access to bigger trees. So this was an individual who he touched a chainsaw. It wasn't running. Nobody's that stupid. But the brown pot had his chainsaw there, and I never got, was he trying to help? Was he trying to move it somewhere? Whatever. There's no excuse. He touched it, so he's taking a little jog. It's a seesaw. Do not touch saw. FHK was working on one here. I didn't say nothing, but one of the juniors did stop by and indicate that the wedge was a little high. This tree took a while to go. It took a good, I don't think I left before it came down, I think. No, I stayed here until it fell. It was a long time. And part of that is, you know, if you got a high wedge, it's going to take you a bit. This tree was getting everybody fits. And every person that jumped on it was convinced that they were going to be the one to kill it. And then they ended up taking 2 or 3 turns each. Every time presuming they were going to be the one to kill it. And finally, I did stay till it went. Finally, it went. That took a while. Now we're back up at load site. Ducked back down right next to load site. You've got the core back here in the background. You've got a pelt Load site. Well, let's see. I think load site is up here. The core is over here. They're working on truck sticks right here. But I did get a little bit of load, and we are now approaching the end of cut 2, at least for me. I caught a baser. Or 2. Yeah. Was this the one? Yeah, this was a monster. And this was actually the last shots of the day. This was a pretty big log for the second cut, first load. The core jumped in on this one. And there was a second there where some of the folks that were up here were down there, and it was just me and the load pot on the truck. And I don't take the camera onto the truck. I don't shoot anything from on the truck, whether or not I'm actually doing work up there. I don't bring the camera up there. It's just distracting. And this is the last place in the world anybody needs to be distracted, or anybody down here needs to be worried about getting, photo taken or whatever. So, but the people who were down here jumped back up here, and I was able to get down and get the log going on. But it was a good one. And that's it. That's with that. That is the end of cut 2. We actually went faster this time than we did last week, which is good. And we covered a lot of ground at the beginning. Remember, new website is soft launched. Patreon supporters are receiving a new link every time there's an update to the website with a new code that gets you into the website to play with it. Want to stress again, new photos are not going up on the website because right now it is only Patreon that has access to it while it's still, finishing development. I've always been very serious about making sure that these photos are visible to everybody and nobody has to pay to see photos. So I'm not going to hide this year's new photos behind Patreon. So until the new site is completely done and it's launched and all the Patreon has tested it and we found the bugs and I've gotten those fixed and everything's ready, then I will put new photos up. So this whole Patreon thing is not, Patreon's going to be there forever because that's going to help make this happen. But this whole thing about you can't access the website unless you have Patreon, that is a temporary thing until the website's done. But if that's something you're interested in, you want to play around with it and you want to help inform this new relaunch of the website since the hack, be happy to have you as a supporter on Patreon and help with this effort. But then, if not, cool. And everybody will get all the messages and links once the website is up. So really happy with how that's going. And thanks to everybody for support and patience on the gallery. I've gotten a lot of really great and unexpected feedback that just feels really good. There's people who I respect at Bonfire greatly who have told me that looking at the photos while they were in high school and finding those was part of their motivation to come out, which is a really motivating thing for me. And I'm really looking forward to getting back to that. So, Perimeter Fires now on Spotify. Like, subscribe, rate, all that stuff. Share with your buddies. And look for those to come out once a week. Monday Modi podcast on Perimeter Fires. starting this Monday. And that'll do it. So thanks to everybody. Thanks for your support for the gallery. Thank you for your support for Bonfire. Thank you for your support for your motivated Aggie who's coming out and not asking them to come home on the weekends because you know they're doing something great. Thank you for everything. And we'll see you next week. We'll see you on Monday on Perimeter Fires. And we'll see you in the woods this weekend, Aggies. Build the hell out of Bonfire. Gig 'em.